A search for truth? Certainly, the alarming worldwide statistics which threaten our survival can be attributed to much other than one common cause. However, with approximately 8 billion people living on planet Earth, it is beyond alarming how our clear view of reality has been and continues to be obstructed by things like our very own developed technology, as well as false teachings, dogmas, therefore false beliefs. For the most part, they are fed by those closest to us at a premature age, not having a minimal understanding as to what exactly it is, and sought after by mostly those who find themselves searching for some kind of psychosomatic mental remedy outside themselves. Minimal effort and research are required to become aware of the increasing amount of frightening information easily made available to us in this day and age. We have become victims of the same technological advancements which catapulted mankind out of the 19th century and well into the 21st. I see world leaders herding humanity into the most advanced civilization mankind has ever known based on the same false dogmas from savage ages. These dogmas have held the tightest grasp on the minds and activities of humanity throughout history, and we continue to witness this at the present time. Life was as happy and as comfortable as it was going to get under the circumstances, and I was well aware of it. I was paroled from prison 5 years earlier and immediately applied myself in the HVAC industry. Over a decade behind bars turned out to be one of the best things that ever happened, and I made sure of it. Having gone in there as a kid and flying home to LA as a grown man, I often found myself thinking back to many moments, experiences, friends I left behind, and lessons I learned along the way. I had turned my job into a career, was engaged to be married to a remarkable human being, and was expecting to be a father for the first time. Freedom never turned out what I expected all those years. Nonetheless, by late 2009, I was a proud father of 2 precious little girls and looking forward to the future. The rest is history. The following year my entire life came to an end when I was arrested at work by ICE agents and eventually deported from the United States to my native country of Mexico. I was a Christian man in a horrific situation, yet holding on to my faith as best as I could, and when I found myself putting up some lights at my friend's church in Tijuana, I made the decision. The thought came to me as I reached up towards the ceiling while maintaining my balance on the ladder and tightened the screws with my drill. I had no real sense of direction. So, what if I started my own church? Why not? I knew I had more to learn, but what better way to do so than to teach? I could use my life occurrences and experience to motivate people and get them to see the light. It didn't take much to come to a conclusion, make up my mind. If I was going to become a pastor, I'd do everything in my power to be the best pastor I could be. I began reading the Bible more than ever while examining its text, researching its origins, and comparing its inclusive text. I began reading and studying individuals such as Chris Hitchens, Sam Harris, S. Hawkins, Bart Ehrman, R. Dawkins, to name a few. Perhaps you're familiar with names like Zeno, Confucius, Thomas Aquinas, René Descartes, Socrates, Aristotle, and Plato. These men and many others have had in some way or another a direct or indirect connection with many people's faith throughout the world. Admittingly so, much of what I began coming across was beyond startling. I found myself sad, enraged, and many nights cried myself to sleep knowing that it was the beginning of the end for my family and myself. I knew my marriage would soon come to an end, even more so with everything my wife, at the time, was already dealing with. There were mornings when I didn't want to open my eyes. I felt I had no reason to live. Having been raised Catholic, I was a believer for most of my life. Needless to say, that all changed. My personal inquisition over the past 11 years has led me to a world of true unbiased information that no one could argue against, and the mass of fearful humanity who share my views is in the millions, I am sure. Yet, I never really had the opportunity to share all of this with my ex-wife, as she was appalled by many of my early findings and made it clear she didn't want to hear any more of what I had to share. Today, my life's biggest desire is to fully share all that I have learned in the past decade and feed our children what is imperative they know about the world we live in and the harsh realities behind it. With so much information at our disposal, it's beyond absurd to have humanity still headed like sheep. Churches have become comfortable community gossip centers for people to go to, feel like they belong, hear some guy tell them how to live this cult-like lifestyle, talk about other PO.
The curse of the forever pendant. The nymphs locked the image of it from their memory. The wisest oaks swore it was a myth. The warlocks used it as a running joke. But after 17 months, 36 scars, and more betrayals than the dents in his armor, the knight found it, the forever pendant. Sir Calvert the Fearless inspected a tiny, wooden chest between his chain mail gloves, skeptical that the container could hold what he had been pursuing for perilous months. But after the cavern maze and week-long journey below ground, he finally convinced himself to hold his breath and unlatch the reward. The sparkling light from within, far more brilliant than the torchlight Sir Calvert had traveled by that week, impelled him to thrust the box open. Though his petrified gaze took a few minutes or so to breathe in the full glory, he appreciated the once-in-a-century sight nonetheless. The shabby container paled in comparison to the thin, silver chain it protected. Upon the chain was a tanzanite blue orb within a silver frame, both of which the knight's imagination had not before had the blessing to dream. After his knees started drooping with exhaustion, the knight retrieved the necklace and carefully settled it around his neck as if one wrong move would destroy its power. "What magic havest thou?" he bellowed to his new accessory. "Th treasure of invisibility? Th key of immortality? Th blessing of eternal vengeance? To him I choose far greater," the pendant whispered in the flitter of a pixie. "Th gift of knowledge. To see forever ahead of what is to come. Ask of me an event to see, and we shall see if it's to be." The knight stroked his chin with metal thumb and pondered the offer. Though he briefly considered the treasure as a trick from the dwarf he had wronged a month prior, his starvation for knowledge would take the reins today.